What do we got on the shelf, James? I can't fully read what are we working with?
So you got...
I got a PS4. I can see that. A PS3.
Oh, sorry. PS3, PS4, and you can't see the bottom, but I put like my Steam Deck there. But
okay.
I was gonna put PS2. But
Okay.
I was like, I'll switch up the order.
Sure.
I just have this on display right now because this is the Nintendo World Championship Switch.
Oh yeah.
I know that is really cool. I like that.
It's the $60, and you get you get like the box. You get like a gold plastic cartridge on a little nice crystal clear Nintendo stand. Really cool. You get an insert from like the old NES insert.
Oh, that's cool.
And then those two boxes that it's on, it's like a pins and a bunch of little like inserts from old NES games. This is actually I haven't played too much of it, but it's really cool. It's like the trial games they've been doing that Nintendo's been doing, all those little Tetris Effect type games. There's a bunch of like mini games like old Zelda, like little time trial stuff.
And like what it is like, don't you like, okay, the first level is like get the mushroom on Mario 1.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get the mushroom, and then it's like the next level is Super Metroid, and you're trying to get through this chasm.
And you're just trying to do it as fast as possible.
That's
you
really
get
cool.
an S tier time, and people are addicted. It's pretty fun, and they update and change things around. So they'll add something new, like try this world, try this level. I got both those Fire Emblem games. I bought Engage and at the
So I
went to the Fire and Ice swap meet in Rockland. We got to go there, Jake. It's a really fun place.
I love me Rockland. You know?
And Ted, I know.
Ted, you gotta understand. James wants to be with me before you. You gotta just get this through your head.
Jake's always like, hey, when we come up, like let's go like look for N64 stuff. They had a bunch of N64 and the color variant ones. And so I just did some little cheap buys for Fire Emblem. I got both Fire Emblem Engage and Three Houses for like $50, which is pretty good because like Engage is like $40-$50.
Yeah.
However much the other one is. So just getting both those Fire Emblems, and Engage is cool. Starting out, you get Marth right away.
Did you get both for $50 total or each?
Yeah.
Total.
Oh,
Engage
nice.
and the
Nice.
Three Houses.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
it's
a great
good deal.
Yeah,
That's super dope.
plus they're physical, so I can come over and borrow them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still got that one Mario game for you guys all to borrow. The Mario Bros. Whatever it was.
I know.
What came out recently? The Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Wonder.
Mush? You calling a Super Mario Bros. Mush?
Rush.
Oh, Rush.
Hey,
That makes
not
more
Rush.
sense.
I'll give you Luigi's Mansion 3.
No, I'm good. Welcome to Checkpoint of View. I'm your host, Jake Burke. That's Ted Louie. This is James St. Charles. We're back again. We're consistent. We're live every Thursday morning on YouTube.com. Maybe some other podcast services. Ted handles that portion, and I'm going to be honest, it's inconsistent at best.
So is podcast uploading. Spotify ruined it for everybody.
Well, and
I'm
Google
upset.
canceled their podcast upload service as well, I noticed.
Yeah.
So we might just be on YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see who comes through and saves the day, because right now it's rough.
It's rough. It's
If Spotify's offering to buy you, please don't. Please don't do it.
Dude, that's how the American economy works. You make a great idea, we'll buy it, we'll tank that idea so it doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly.
We're Checkpoint of View, though. We pick up 3 topics kind of that we want to talk about throughout the week, and we throw them at each other, discuss them. Wide variety of topics. We're going to be talking through kind of some conundrums of video games and when you quit them. Ted's going to be sharing with us some fighting game thing, apparently. But first, we're talking about America's pastime. Because, guys, I've been held back by this video game podcast. And we're mostly a video game podcast here.
We are.
But I've been held back. Actually, I guess I'm rude. How are you guys doing? Any new crazy life updates? Okay, so I want to talk about Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees. Okay, I don't know if you know this.
Yes.
We're full flux into the baseball season.
Yeah, in case people outside of the U.S. don't understand, the New York Yankees are a joke team, much like the Harlem Globetrotters. They goof off with another team, and they're usually like given a win, like they're like, they'll do some fun stuff, they'll hit some home runs, and they're like, you win.
You're given a win.
Yeah.
I wish that was true in the last 15 years, but unfortunately it's not. I'm a big lifelong Yankee fan, but we talk about video games. Ted and I have a love for MLB The Show. We will play the new MLB, I'm sure, on this podcast at some point. Wow, it's on frickin' Switch.
Yeah.
There's no way that runs well.
I don't think it does, no.
A game all about timing, I wouldn't trust it on the Switch. But I wanted to talk about something kind of interesting. So Aaron Judge is very good at the sport of baseball. I don't know if you're aware of who Aaron Judge is. He is a 6'7", 280-pound man that plays center field for the New York Yankees. He's their captain. He's 99. So I wanted to go through some stats because something interesting has happened in the world of baseball that's kind of video game-like. and now it's kind of breaking the game of baseball in an interesting way that I wanted to kind of just talk about with you guys a little bit because I think it's kind of funny. So Aaron Judge this season, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's happening this year, but he is on a season.
Did he break a record?
So in 2022, he set the American League home run record with 62 home runs in a season. That's the most home runs by a person that didn't use steroids in all of baseball. Well,
Wait,
there's
so
an
Barry
asterisk.
Bonds?
Yeah, that's a great
so
asterisk,
in the National League, James, you have Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa that all have like 66, 70, and then Barry Bonds has 74 home runs in a season. None of those guys are in the Hall of Fame because they all cheated and used steroids. Right. So Aaron Judge in the American League, thankfully that record was untarnished. No steroids were used in the making of that record, and he eclipsed that record by 1 home run and had 62 in a season, which is like insane. But now in this year, he's actually better than he was in 2022. So he's got a guy named Juan Soto on his team. Juan Soto is very, very good at baseball as well. They're probably the top 4 hitters. They're 2 of the top 4 hitters in baseball, along with Ohtani and Bobby Witt Jr. But what's really interesting with Aaron Judge now is teams are just starting to intentionally walk him. Even when he comes up, and James, there will be 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and they would rather him be on first base than at the plate. They just put him on first base. It's nuts. This is like similar to stuff that we've never seen happen except for Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds once famously, so Barry Bonds was never walked and put on base with nobody on. But Barry Bonds once was famously walked with the bases loaded. They intentionally walked him to take 1 run to avoid a grand slam. Yeah, insane. Yeah. So I wanted to read a few stats, and I wanted to talk about this intentional walking thing because it's actually an interesting kind of conundrum I think baseball has going forward. We've played 114 games this season. 111 Aaron Judge has played. So he hasn't been hurt. He's been doing very well. His current stats right now, he's had 395 at-bats. He's had 127 hits. His average is about 322, which right now is incredible because baseball averages are actually down. I think the average is about 250, 260. So this guy's hitting 322. His RBIs, runs batted in, he's at 103. His home runs so far in the year, he's had 41. His on-base percentage, which means every time he gets to the plate, he gets on base 45% of the time. And his slugging, which slugging percentage means anything above a single, so a double, triple, home run.
He hits the ball hard.
He hits the ball hard. So 70% of his hits are more than a single. That's crazy.
That's insane.
Right now, currently, and it's funny because actually 3 days ago when I wanted to have this topic, he led in more stats, but there's been a guy, Bobby Witt Jr., who's been on a fucking tear, so he took average from Aaron Judge. But right now, he leads the MLB in all of these stats. On-base percentage, runs batted in, home runs, total bases, so as many times as he's crossed the bases, walks, and extra base hits, and he's 3rd in average. So he's so good that now teams are walking him. And what I think is really funny is, so last weekend, they played the Blue Jays. On Friday, they played a 3-game series. On Friday, the Yankee announcers were like, okay, Aaron Judge has 14 first-inning home runs. He's 2 away from Babe Ruth. So also, James, this is crazy because I know you're not big into baseball. Right now, the only guy this guy is compared to right now is like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Joe DiMaggio.
Jesus.
They can't find other comparisons.
No current ones,
right.
Basically.
So...
Wow.
He literally on Friday hits a first-inning home run. So now he's 1 away from Babe Ruth for tying the Yankee record. The ultimate record is A-Rod at 18. So he's at 15. And they're like, well, okay, he's got 2 more days. He's got like 45 more games to hit this next home run and tie Babe Ruth. The very next game, he hits a first-inning home run and ties Babe Ruth. And they're like, well, I guess that doesn't matter anymore. He's done it. So then the Blue Jays went, fuck this guy. And they just started to walk him. And they asked the coach, why do you keep walking him? And he goes, I'm tired of seeing him hit. Like, fuck that. So they literally walked him 3 times intentionally in 1 game. They chose not to pitch to him in 1 game. So he had 5 at-bats. He only actually had 2 at-bats because 3 of the times they said, put him on first base. We're done. So then this big, large kind of thing in the MLB discussion has happened is baseball is actually right now the only sport where your best player, the other team can choose to not have him play. In the 4th quarter, you can't go to the Chiefs and go, we've decided Mahomes can only be the wide receiver. He can only catch the ball. He's too good at throwing it. So I think it's an interesting problem that I kind of wanted to throw at you of like, baseball's got some interesting issues going forward.
I
I would also argue that certain sports have protections against your star player because there are a lot of rules against, hey, don't kill our quarterback, please.
Well, sure, but fundamentally the rule of this game is like you can just choose not to have this person play.
Right. I see.
And
where
that's
you're coming
crazy,
from.
right?
Yeah.
You know, I know that, like I don't follow. I would probably watch like a John Boy clip every now and then, but I just know that this year, well, I don't know if it was this year, maybe it started before, where they added the pitch clock and all the
last year.
And so that was last year. Okay, 2 years ago. Okay, but anyways, that I know that sped up the game like considerably, and that was, I think, fundamentally a good call. Do you think they should add like a walk count per game? Like a team can only walk like 2 or 3 times maybe?
I was trying to figure this out. I'm curious with Ted too, because like there was a lot of interesting rules I've been hearing other kind of radio channels and stuff talk about.
Yeah.
One of the ones I kind of liked was that once the game reaches extra innings, there's no more batting order, and every inning you can just choose whoever goes to the plate. So like hypothetically, the Yankees in the 10th inning could just send Aaron Judge up to the plate 3 times if he doesn't get on base and just like see if this guy can hit a home run. They're already putting a guy on second, so they're already changing the outcome of an inning. But I'm wondering, if you going forward, if you get intentionally walked, you can say no, thank you, or like if they throw 4 balls to you, you can say no, I'd like another pitch and like decline the walk. I'm wondering if they get.
I
to
wonder
that
about
point.
that. Yeah, that's interesting. Declining the walk.
It's just interesting because like
But then they're just gonna intentionally hit you.
baseball is such a sport.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm in.
Yeah, like I know that with baseball it's so tricky and there's like all these nuances. It's such a different sport than I think like football or something. And I would definitely like hate like for someone who's like so good to just like not be able to play. Like
Yes.
like that's absurd. Like the Mahomes thing is a really good idea. It's like nope, you can't be your quarterback this quarter. You need someone else.
Well, and for like Aaron Judge, it's like this guy is on pace to do things no one's ever done. Like
Right.
he could hit more home runs than 62 this year, but now he just lost 6 at bats because like the other team was like he's too good. Sorry.
Yep.
So what do you think about like a per player walk count? Like you can't have a player walk more than.
Yeah, like something needs to change.
And if they do, you just get penalized with a run or something like that.
Yeah,
Like they just get the run.
that's why I think like it has to be like a declining of the walk. It has to be like the other team can choose to not put the guy on base. I don't know, like, or to put someone different on base. Or there, it's funny because I think like football is like rapidly changing all the time. Like this year, the kickoff is going to be like wildly different than it's ever been before. Like it's gonna.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I didn't watch the Hall of
Oh.
Fame game yet. I'm gonna watch tomorrow and I'll see it. What did you think of it? Explain it, I guess, because I'm.
So basically, there's a shorter running distance for when they receive the ball and when the other team is at meeting. I guess the end. I don't know.
For like
offense is
blocking.
meeting the defense. Yes, because before it was like full speed running from the other side of the field, and this you catch the ball and you have someone sprinting full speed at you.
Yeah.
A little unsafe. So now it's like they're a little bit closer, so it's not too bad. The issue is you're either going to be consistently down at the 25, so it's almost always going to be like, down at the 25, or you get a touchdown. That's basically what we saw.
Yeah.
So if you're not tackled at the 25, you're probably going to make it because all the players are already there at the 25 by the time you receive the ball. Okay, this is kind of pee-wee.
Well, and they changed like how the offside kick rule works and stuff too. Like you have to like designate an offside kick and like.
Again, I don't even think anyone will do that. It's just
because they're adapting the game, and I think baseball's got an interesting. I think this is an interesting problem where like going forward, if you don't let your stars play, that's like a turn off to the sport. Like they were describing about Steph Curry in the fourth quarter, and like if a team wants to shut down Steph Curry in the fourth quarter, they got to put like 2 or 3 guys on Steph Curry. And what does that do to the rest of the team? The rest of the team is now open. But in baseball, just having a guy on first base doesn't like offer that competitive advantage of this guy's so good, we have to attribute resources to him. In baseball, it's just like, well, guy's on first. I guess if he gets hit in. But like, I don't know. I just think that's like such an interesting conundrum as us being a mostly gaming podcast. This is a game. I was kind of
still
curious.
Technically a game.
Yeah, you're wearing your fucking Red Sox hat over here, just being a chump.
That's me.
Couldn't name me a single player on that team.
Represent the house.
Wasn't Juan Soto once a Red Sox?
Nope, never played on the Red Sox.
Oh, no, I'm thinking
he's literally a Yankee right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I literally said his name earlier in this conversation.
Kiki Hernandez.
He was a Red Sox. He's no longer a Red Sox.
There you go. He's no longer a Red Sox yet.
He's a Dodger. Ted, you're playing some fighting game. I figured it's probably gonna be a quick convo about what you're fighting.
Yep.
All right, what do you got for me?
Who are you fighting?
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. I'm just curious because every year, last week we spoke about the Evolution Fighting Game Tournament. It happened. It's fun, and I think I mirror what most people who watch Evo think, where they watch it and they go, "Damn, I should really start playing a fighting game," and then they play a fighting game for 2 seconds and they go,
That's why I
"Fuck,
play fighting games.
never mind."
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to ask both of you a little round table here of like, what do you think is the biggest factor that drives you away from a fighting game?
I've kicked your ass in Injustice like so much, Ted, that I had to retire. I'd hang up the cleats, you know? When a guy goes too far.
So your answer is that you're too good.
I'm too good. And like Aaron Judge, I should just be intentionally walked in all fighting games.
When I was learning Tekken 7, and it was like the person who was teaching me like gave me sort of like this like PDF doc of all the moves and all the right times to do them and what has the frame punish and all this. I was like, man, I don't want to take like a college course just to play a fighting game.
Man, fuck that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, fuck this.
Yep.
I think when it's fundamentally easy, like let's say Dragon Ball Fighters, I was super easy to start. It has a bunch of auto combos. You don't have to do anything. You just like hit a button and cool stuff happens. And then it gets more intricate, of course, like when you're playing at the high levels. But at the entry level, you can have fun and mash buttons and do stuff. So I think when it's entry level is good, but when it has like a high threshold just to hit someone,
right?
That's I'm already gone.
I think
right,
that's...
and I am in complete agreement.
Yeah.
When your like threshold to entry is like, hey, learn a guitar solo.
Exactly.
And then also, this guitar solo only works if you deploy it right. Like, that'll send you away.
And you have to learn it twice because you have to learn it like one side of the screen or the other side of the screen.
Right.
So.
That's like, by comparison, like what's so much easier to learn, I think, is Mortal Kombat opposed to Street Fighter. Because Mortal Kombat is a direction thing where Street Fighter is telling you to dragon circle shit, and you're like, what the what?
Quarter, half circle.
Half quarter circle. It's like, okay, but I get I get down right punch, you know, like I think that's why like that's such an easier thing to grasp in the sense than like dropping me into like being Ryu.
This is a total sidebar, but like there is now an interesting discussion because people are making arcade sticks with extra buttons. So you talk about like direction, like you need to hit down, forward, like, and so people like they're making extra buttons so that you can press down with your other hand or like be pressing down all the time with your palm.
Oh, weird.
To skip a press, and like there's a lot of people calling of like that's bullshit. We need like a standard. You're not allowed to have extra button controllers. But anyway, my biggest gripe with fighting games is like there's nothing to do outside of a fighting game. As we've just discussed, a fighting game is a college course in which you need to learn a bunch of guitar riffs and then deploy them strategically. And for the past 30, 40 years, that is pretty much all a fighting game is. You hit start, you do this very complicated thing, you exit or you rematch, and then that's it. Nobody else has added anything to fighting games, which I think is like barbaric's not the right word, but a little bit like in the past. Barbaric. You know, like you think about it, like turn-based strategy games have gone so far, RTS games have gone so so many games have improved. It's funny to me that like fighting games are just fighting games.
Yeah.
So I found a game. I paid $5 for it. It came out December or November of 2023. Little indie game called Checkmate Showdown.
Checkmate
Showdown.
Okay. Is it like a chess theme?
This game is a chess-themed fighting game.
Stop it.
It is as silly as it sounds.
That sounds awesome.
You are given a chessboard that we've all seen, the same chessboard, and your backline characters, so your queen, your king, your bishop, your knight, and your rook, are your fighting game characters. And so you play chess on a board as you would, and when it comes down to my rook takes your bishop, you then have to go into arena and fight. The bishop has a certain move set. The rook has a certain move set. It's all very simplified. It's a very simple, like, 3-button system.
Can you and I, like, play each other in this game?
Yes. 100%. James and I checked it out. It totally works.
Yeah, we were there. Then I played.
Oh, thanks for the invite.
So,
oh, yeah, no worries.
It was secret. It was secret.
Yeah, it was just a test. We tested a remote play.
Tested your audio and then also tested that shit? Yeah. Okay, I get how it goes. All right.
Well, we couldn't take you out of retirement, you know?
It's local play, so there's no online. So we tried remote play.
There's online. There's online.
Never mind.
There's nobody playing online. But You can also use Steam Remote Play, which is very fun.
That's what
but
we
no,
did. So.
the game is really interesting because like it is just like the bishop character versus the knight character.
I was looking at it. That sounds cool.
And if like, for example, like if in chess, you can protect a piece where it's like, oh, I'll move my piece in front of another piece's path so that like if you take this, piece A, piece B can counter your piece. It's a pretty common chess thing. I know chess, guys. And so that shows up in the game of like you'll have an assist button if you have a piece protecting it. That being said, it's pretty stupid if you're trying to play chess and you're like, oh, my bishop takes your rook, and then you're really good at fighting games.
Fucking
like
I would hate that so much.
Yeah, my bishop just gets annihilated, and like
No, it's still balanced though because the pieces are scale with health. So of course like the queen is like the best, and the king has a lot of health. So if you just like are trying to like take down a king. Or like you can protect yourself.
So like the king can protect itself. So like if
so if it beats someone who's taken it, it'll kill.
So if you have nothing left for the king, you can like 1v8 everybody.
But Ted and I found out pawns are broken. They do not enter a fight sequence. They'll just kill anything.
Yeah, pawns still work like regular chess. Yeah. So if you lose a piece to a pawn, it just dies.
Pawn destroys king right away, and yeah.
All right, so the best character in the game is the pawn.
The best character in the game is the pawn. Well, it's really funny because like. The king character, his abilities are like throwing pawns, which is hilarious. And they're like the little minions will like run around.
Yeah, it reminds me of a Guilty Gear.
I was gonna say or if you've played Injustice, what's his name, the Omega guy, Darkseid. Yeah. He plays a lot like Darkseid, but it's a really neat concept at the very least. Fun. I love that it's like. Let's take the idea of a fighting game and like let's give you something else to do.
Yeah.
Because
if you're bad at chess and good at fighting games, this is a game for you.
I know. It's funny to listen to reviews on Steam of like this game's great, but I don't know how to play chess, so it's bad.
That bums me out actually hearing that.
Yeah.
That's so
sad. Mortal Kombat creator Ed Boon for years has talked about like I really want to make something more than a fighting game. I really want to make a Mortal Kombat RPG in which you're playing an RPG, and then instead of like a turn-based fighting game or like live-action combat, we go into a classic 2D fighting game.
Instead, he just keeps making Mortal Kombats over and over again.
Yeah, and Warner Brothers just cracks the whip and makes it come out with more content.
So.
Yeah. Make a game, but with more microtransactions this time.
Pretty much. But no, I was enthralled by the idea of like let's build a bigger, more macro game around kind of a simple fighting game. And it was really cool. I would check it out. It was, like $4, $5 on sale.
Oh, now it's 20,
Yeah, now it goes back up to 20.
Yeah. But again, thank you for inviting me and telling me to get this game. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, it's Steam Remote Play, so since I own it, I can play with anybody, which is very cool. Yeah. But you're retired. You're retired. I don't want to. I don't want to get you out of that chair.
Too good.
But no, a very cool game and a very cool concept. I hope we see more bigger budget fighting games do something like this in future, because something needs to shake it up.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we don't have to belabor this, but I like the idea of a game that uses combat as fighting, but like you said, an RPG that does more, like something like that. That's cool. Yep. I think the chess aspect adds a lot to it, too, of that strategy component before.
Totally.
So that's sick. Nice. I like that. Yeah. James, I think this goes into where you're at. If you didn't like the game, James has a topic for you.
I liked the game because I won.
If you spent $90 on the newest fighting game, because they're all $90 now, and you're not having fun, James, what do? You
stop playing. I think it definitely turns into a bigger topic in terms of when to know like you need to stop playing a game.
Yeah.
And I think that came across to me last weekend when I looked and I saw I had 45 plus hours in Unicorn Overlord, and I was on the last battle, and I spent probably 2 to 3 hours on the last battle. And I got to the very, very end boss, and I did not have the right equipment order to beat the boss. I was basically going to be in a forever stalemate until the time ran out. So I just, stopped playing. I was like, you know what? Like, I need to, not go and farm 10 more hours to beat this guy, because it's not going to matter when I beat him. There's no satisfaction. There's no reward. There's nothing. And I think people now with games feel like they need to either get their money's worth or beat the game, and then that's it. And then some people just keep playing a game forever and ever, like let's say League of Legends or something like that. And even if they're not enjoying it, they'll just keep playing it. Yeah. And I think you need to figure out when to move on. So my topic kind of ties back into a previous topic that we had, which was like a game not respecting your time.
Mm-hmm.
And Unicorn Overload did not respect my time with at probably past 20 hours, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like maybe the first 20 hours, like there was some like cool stuff, but then after that, it became a grind sesh, the exact same thing every single play, it didn't respect my time. Another game that respected our time is Elden Ring's DLC. I just always wanted more with that. That completely respected my time, respected my wallet, well worth the money. And so I recently been collecting games, as you see like right here. I have way more. I just
James has one game right there. But you see the collection.
One game
That's
right
huge.
there. I'll next week I'll bring it up.
Sure,
But so I picked up a lot of. So I was telling before the cast. Fire Emblem Engage, Three Houses. I picked up Sea of Stars. I have a lot of like different games and stuff to go through. And then PS5, I picked up
all games that historically respect your time.
Yeah,
JRPGs.
Exactly. JRPGs. Yeah. Historically, like,
just a cool 80
I'll
hours.
take a little break.
Uh-huh.
PS5, I picked up a Demon Souls on sale for like $30. Started playing a little bit of that.
pretty game, huh?
Very, very pretty.
Very
it's
pretty.
definitely like, don't expect Elder Scrolls in this game, but very pretty. Like
yeah.
interesting. Been enjoying that. And just trying other games to play. But it's like I need to like feel like I don't need to play this game to completion and beat it. It's okay to move on and not be like, oh no, the game's not for me. Move on.
Yeah.
So I was forcing myself to play Unicorn Overload, and it was like a bad state. Like it was just obvious. Like not enjoying this game. Need to stop.
Yeah. There's a great YouTube creator named Errant Signal who just once every 6 months he'll post a 40-minute video. But he has a great video about the idea of game feel, in quotations, game feel. Game feel being kind of like, it's not necessarily a narrative experience or what you're doing from start to finish. It's just like what you're doing on a loop, and you're doing that over and over and over again throughout the course of the game. And like most basic example of like World of Warcraft, you get 5 quests, you go out and do those quests, bing, bang, boom. You go and you return your quests and you get rewards. Rinse and repeat. Game feel is like your rinse and repeat. And for me, like playing a game is a combination of like, am I enjoying the game feel right now? And am I being challenged just enough, right? That sweet spot between like, I'm just blowing through this is boring, or like I've hit a wall where I can't do it, or I have to go break my game feel and do something else. Think like a survival game where it's like, oh, you need more potions, so I have to go gather mats.
Like
to
an
make
Elden
potions.
Ring, you need to level up. You need to need to get good. Yeah,
but you can do that in the game. Like it's not like I have to be like, all right, I have to turn off Elden Ring and start up Animal Crossing so I can go beat this boss.
Right. There are plenty of examples, especially nowadays, of games where like going and doing something else means all kinds of stuff. Sometimes it's even just paying money for microtransactions.
Yes.
But yeah, I for one have never, like, I love turn-based combat in like a classic JRPG. I really love to like, you go, then I go, then you go, then I go. But so much of traditional JRPGs, like what you're doing outside of that game loop or game feel is just absolutely boring to me. I can't be bothered to kind of like walk around the world collecting mats and bits and bobs, or like grinding, doing the same easier tasks over and over again. So for me, you have to keep me like, give me some engaging content that I can like, all right, I can do this. I can, you know,
or have those bits and bobs in line with the progress, like what Elden Ring does. I'm just gonna keep saying Elden Ring because of course it does it beautifully. I don't like go out of my way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or like 2016's Doom is a great example of this, where like the game feel is just shoot demons, explode their heads, switch weapons, shoot shoot rinse and repeat. And it's like, okay, the difficulty then becomes prioritizing what enemies to go for and that kind of thing. It's not like you hit to a point where it's like, oh, this room is just too hard or like mathematically impossible. I need to leave and go repeat the previous levels until I'm ready to do that level.
Yeah.
That to me is a kind of an absolute turnoff.
Yeah. So
James, I'm with you. You should put it down.
Yeah, you've played a lot of games this year, I'd say. Did you ever have that encounter with the game this year? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But we talked about it a little bit on the other podcast, but Dragon's Dogma was the first game that like.
Oh yeah.
I really hit a wall.
I heard you just stopped playing it. I didn't know if you we're gonna.
So like we're in this weird, interesting place where we're like inundated with content constantly, just as people. There are 3 million shows coming out at all times. They're all the best thing ever. How can you not have watched this show? Holy shit. What do we talk about? What are you
That's actually the new name of our podcast.
How have you not watched
There's
this?
3 million shows coming out all the time. How could you not have watched these shows?
But that's constantly what we feel like, right? Like I know,
right.
like it was interesting. We picked topics. We kind of all texted out the week, and I really struggled with what mine was going to be. Mine potentially was going to be The Bear season 3. I don't know if you guys have watched The Bear. Mm-hmm. It's a great. The first 2 seasons I thought were great. Yes, if you have an anxiety problem like I do, some episodes are really hard to watch. But it was one of those things of like we're inundated with content, so like I feel like finding the content to give time to is more important than almost like the content you're consuming, if that makes sense in a weird way. And I felt like The Bear was a perfect example the first time of like, I love this show, but you are taking way too long to tell me this story. And that's the season 3 kind of gets up its own ass and takes too long. And video games have a tendency to do that a lot as well.
Video games have been doing that from the start.
Well, yeah, 100%.
They're very good at that.
But that's why, like there are so many games where, like, first off, the worst part about a game when you can tell me a JRPG is good after the first 20 hours, get fucked. I'm not going to play 20 hours of a game before it gets good. That's crazy talk.
Right.
But I can also play Persona 5 and tell you it's probably one of the best video games ever made, but I don't have 120 hours to dedicate.
You don't have 100, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like, I think time-wise, video games are such in a weird place of, like, if you're in, and it's awesome. But I think with games, don't be afraid to, like, the minute that you're not into something and this time feels like you're wasting it, it's okay to bail. It's okay to like not be into it, and I've gotten really good at that. If I don't feel something about a game in a few hours, if I ever start feeling bored, there's plenty of shit to take me to the next place.
Yep.
And
financially, though, you could be screwed because, like, let's say you saved up money. It's a $60, $70 game now. And
100%.
you bought it.
Financially, I'm in a different place than I was when I was 16. Or if I'm 16, it's. I mean, I used to stress about what games to buy, James, because I knew this.
Well, I was just renting usually a lot. So it's like if I never bought a game until I rented it first, and then it's like, okay, I'll buy it. So like, luckily you only invested like however much money. But nowadays it's like there's really no rental options. People might be nice crack there, but people
it's spilled all over me and it's in my eyes. I just want you to know that it's all over my crotch. It did not go as well, and I was hoping we'd move on by it. Well, all right, hey, we're here.
I would say that we live in a world now. I know Steam is very good. They're very much pushing the idea of like, hey, we're making demos.
Yeah.
Please play our demo. In fact,
and I've done
and
that a
this
lot
is something
recently.
that I like. Next Fest 2024 really opened my eyes to this. Where like there are a bunch of smaller teams being like, no, we have a demo. Like please
play it.
Please give us a chance. And I'm very much of that mindset of like, give it a chance. Financially, I think you're absolutely right. It like nothing feels shittier than spending $70 and then feeling burned.
And then feeling 12 hours after Dragon's Dogma, like, oh fuck, I wish I didn't buy this game. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic.
It's a whole other topic. But I think like for me, our time, especially as adults, we work a lot.
Right, especially adults.
Yeah. Like, and especially in this podcast environment, we're like, we do want to play current games. Like, I'm really interested when we get to like the end of this year, we talk about our game of the years, because I think our lists are going to be very different because the games that are like kind of pillars to play are not there this year. Like,
no,
our games are going to probably be 10 very different games on a lot of stuff, and it's probably going to be like Balatro is going to win because we all like Balatro. Yep. So I think like I do too. I'm
buying it again for Switch physical because it's going to come with some real life cards.
I'm so proud of you. It's such a good video.
Well, no, Balatro's a great example. If you feel burned by like a game you just bought, like there are also tons of games.
There's a bunch of indie games you can play.
There's tons of games. They're old games. They go on sale for $2 to $5, and you can easily spend 100, 200 hours in Balatro. Like if you know, and I'm thinking like Balatro, Slay the Spire. These are just random examples, but like you have your game that you could probably always come back to. That's not a linear play the campaign start to finish. Those games are still there for you. If you spent your budgeted money and you got burned, just go back to something you love. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, I think that's what people need to be like. You bought this game. You don't need to play it for the next 3-4 days. Switch it up.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying play a Switch, but
no, but
like change up who you're.
Change it up.
You think I should play 1-2 Switch? That's what you're saying.
1-2 Switch.
Everybody's favorite Switch game still is. No, I think you're right, James. I think you're totally nailing on the head. I think that the minute you want to move on from something, don't be afraid from it.
Yeah.
There's so many.
We're always
games.
promoting here, like games and game services, but we're never like, hey, sometimes you might just need to like stop playing
Just
a game
stop playing.
if you're not
Just move
having a
on.
good time.
No, I think that's totally fair. I mean, I think also like you and I think Ted's a little bit this way, but like we're pretty opposed to early access, not because we don't think it's a great program, but do I really want to play the game again? Like,
Jake, have you played Hades 2?
no, but that's my most anticipated game probably ever right now. Besides
And
The
we're not
Last of
playing
Us Part 3, and I'm waiting until it comes out because
We're
I
not
know
playing it
it's,
because we're gonna enjoy it. Yeah.
because you know it's going to be a 10 out of 10, and why do I want to spoil that experience that's not full? Because I already did that with Hades 1.
Of course.
And I
Yes.
played through most of that first 2 levels again and again and again, and I got bored. And I
And
still
you saw
love that
how
game.
everyone, when it first came out, they were like, "This is one of the best,
Yep.
best games out. Like it's incredible." And everyone was having such a good time, and you're like, "Oh yeah, well I
I
played
played
this,
it,
I
and
know
then
this."
eventually I went back and played Hades, and I was like, oh, fuck, you're all right. But,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
early access turned me
That
off
happened to
on
me
that.
with Dead Cells.
Yeah,
Never came back after.
and that's like an
No,
incredible
yeah.
game. For sure.
Early access is a trap sometimes. Actually, but demos are very good. I think demos are like this little line. There's a demo that I played with the Steam Netflix called Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. It's Balatro but blackjack,
Oh.
and so that's gonna be a fun one when it does come out eventually. But that type of game when you the formula and you play it, that's a fun demo.
Yeah.
And Balatro had a demo too before it came out. Like people knew it was gonna be I like the demo thing, but
Yeah, I would
maybe
say
sometimes you can just be ignorant of it and not play.
Yeah, like this podcast and the podcast before it has bashed Game Pass, has
Yes.
praised and bashed Game Pass.
many times.
Yeah, there's been some
Praised.
real ups and downs, but that and PlayStation Plus Plus. Like,
RIP. No, that's still
Check
going. I don't
POV
know.
bashes
Yeah,
Game
that's
Pass.
still
I'm
going.
saying
That's
it
still
here.
going.
We're anti-Game Pass
we're
on this podcast. We were
anti-Microsoft
pro
now.
Game Pass on the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But like, we are living in an interesting time where like we're clearly transitioning. There are so many games. We are clearly starting to transition into something of a subscription service, or like, hey, these things are just going to become available to you. And so the rate at which you can just put it down, like so many Game Pass games I downloaded, played, I would say maybe an hour of, and went, you know what? I'm just not vibing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like those aren't bad games per se, but like also, they didn't hook me. It is becoming incredibly difficult on one side to hook a player because we have so many options on there, and on the other side, it's so easy to go away. Like I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing a lot, and maybe this means there's a bubble, or maybe this means that the games industry needs to self-correct, where like there's a lot of video games coming out that are just DOA.
Yeah. Oh my
And-
God, dude.
Oh
And-
my!
and-
Suicide
this
Squad?
year, this is the year of DOA.
Yes.
And like, well, yeah, but we have traditionally talked about games that are dead on arrival in the context of like multiplayer live service games, but like
right.
we are also seeing indie devs. What's his name? Jonathan Blow,
Yeah.
creator of Braid.
Yeah. And
He just
Yeah.
released. He just released. What's his Braid? Braid is his video
Braid
game.
Anniversary.
Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a remake of
Braid.
Braid. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he remade Braid, and he put out a post saying like, hey, like
No one
like,
bought it.
people, like
Yeah.
hundreds of people bought my game, not thousands, not tens of thousands, like hundreds. Like nobody.
Well, you know what we wanted,
like-
Jonathan Blow, in the last 9 years? A new video game, not you to
yeah.
remake Braid. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
but like-
made Braid and then just added a couple levels. By the way.
Yeah,
It
and
wasn't
we
anything
can't
significant.
speak to his
No,
situation
but-
at all. But like that is a situation where it's like, oh yeah, I know that name, I know that
Mm-hmm.
game. That's neat that he did that. That's crazy that like their revenue or their like initial launch completely flopped. Like
That can
abysmal.
happen though.
This is our
It's-
topic next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're
I know we
talking
have to
about-
wrap this
We're
up.
talking
but
about
Teaser.
DOA next week. We're
Teaser
talking about
right
DOA
here.
next week because we're talking about
they're
Concord and a
they're
bunch of shit.
they're a great band. We're gonna go from each album from start
Yeah.
to finish.
Do your DOA listening right now.
Their collab with the Dead Kennedys guy. That's great.
What-
Fantastic.
What's his name? John?
No.
Because
No?
John F. Kennedy. He
Robert.
died.
I know.
Oh,
I
no.
was gonna do Robert.
No, Robert Kennedy just killed a bear and put it in Central Park.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching. Checkpoint of View. We're going to talk about Dead on Arrival media next week. I think that's actually kind of a really interesting thing to talk about because I think that's happening in all forms and fashions and movies,
Yeah,
video
not
games,
just
TV.
games.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're talking about.
Dead or Alive the band. We're talking Dead or Alive the Naked Girl fighting game.
I was just saying that
franchise.
the porny fighting game that everyone likes. Yeah, for sure. If you ever want a treat, just go look at the Dead or Alive DLC pack costumes. Wow, it's
Wow.
amazing what they can put on the PlayStation Network store. Thank you so much for watching Checkpoint of View. We're going to see you next week. My name is Jake. That's James. That's Ted. Look at how cool this shirt is. It's all the Yankee captains. See ya.
That's a nice shirt.
Go Giants.
Go! You're wearing a Red Sox hat.